The Lynette Brown Show. This be the Lynette Brown Show.
She's always ready and on time.
The Lynette Brown Show.
When you got something that's on your mind.
The Lynette Brown Show.
Whatever you got going on, she knows the deal.
The Lynette Brown Show.
Where we always keep it real.
Welcome to the LBS, the hottest, the biggest, the baddest talk show of the South. Woo! I am the fiery diva, keeping the airwaves hot on your favorite station. Thank you guys for tuning in with me once again. Got a nice show lined up for you today. We're going to be talking about stepdads, okay? And the dynamics becoming a stepdad and being a part of a blended family, okay? But this is a really hot topic. I got Bruce Jones from Youth Services in Decatur, Alabama, and he's coming up to talk to us and give us his views on this particular subject because he was once a stepdad at one time. So we're going to go into a quick commercial break, but we'll be back after this. Don't go anywhere.
Hi, my name is Mickey Gentle, and I am a partner in the law firm of Moore & Gentle, LLC. We are located at 917F Merchants Walk in Huntsville, Alabama. We handle family and criminal matters, as well as appeals and personal injury. I'd like to give a shout out to my good friend Alice Preston for being a cancer survivor.
Representation is made that the quality of legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services performed by other lawyers.
Hey folks, welcome to Eddie Pruitt Ford right here in Hartsville, Alabama, where we've got a great sale going on that you don't want to miss. Every new car and truck, every used car and truck drastically reduced, including this state-of-the-art new 13 model Fusion, totally redesigned, cheapest price you can find anywhere in Alabama, $21,975, and that's loaded, not stripped, sport wheels, all power equipment. If you want a great buy, new, used, program cars, whatever your need, Eddie Pruitt Ford right here in
Welcome back to the LBS, the hottest, the biggest, the baddest talk show of the South. I am the fiery diva, keeping the airwaves hot on your favorite station. Thank you guys for coming back with me. Once again, we have got Bruce Jones, and Bruce is here to talk with us, and we're going to talk about step parenting. Yep, the stepdad, okay? And this was a topic that I wanted to do because I didn't realize the problems that went on in step parenting, or what they would call blended families. Bruce, thank you so much for coming up, and I want to talk to you about last show that you were on. Bruce, the ratings were high. They were happy to have Bruce Jones. I was like, well, I got to bring Bruce back.
Well, I don't know if it was Bruce Jones. It might have been the topic. It was a very interesting topic we talked about. And everybody always want to hear interesting topics. So
Absolutely.
I'm sure that's
so,
what it was.
okay, he's being modest, so it didn't have anything to do with
sure
you.
That's what it was.
Okay.
But,
well, Bruce, you know, you work with children, youth services, and you've been working with youth services a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And Bruce, this is a problem that a lot of people are having, and that's step parenting.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize how bad it was. I mean, even when I talk with the viewers, you know, once they've won or something like that, they want to, you know, show topics and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I've had people to say, you know, you need to talk about step parenting. I'm going crazy.
Right.
I got a stepchild, and, you know, the grandparents are always getting involved in it, or the absent parent.
Right.
And I just want to get your opinion, Bruce. Tell us.
Wow, my opinion. Listen, when you think about the divorce rate, and also just, you know, kids being born outside of marriage, and where the parents were never married, but yet there's kids, and then you have the mom or dad might remarry, or do we also want to just talk about the boyfriends or the girlfriends who live in, you know,
okay.
Because technically they're almost in a step parenting role themselves, and
right.
so it's such a wide range that you can look at, and you know, because of the high divorce rate, that's common. I mean, blended families, step families are common, and if you don't do your due diligence early on in those type relationships, it can be a time bomb, ticking bomb ready to go off. Okay. And so anytime you start looking at relationships, dating, blending a family, and it's so amazing that you called me to ask me to come in and talk about this, because I just left Brookhaven. I do a life skill class there, and we were talking about the qualities that you look for in a relationship.
Okay.
You know, I was just talking to the kids about that, and we talked about just that very thing, about how moms or dad, when they're dating someone or going to marry someone, they should make sure they choose someone who likes their kids or is going to respect their kids.
Absolutely.
Because if you're just choosing somebody just for you and they don't have any interest in your kids or don't care about the welfare of your kids, then that's going to be a disaster as well. So it was just interesting we're talking about that. So, I mean, you just have to really be very careful when you're choosing a mate in those types of situations. And yeah, we as the parent have a right to be with somebody we want to be with.
Right.
But those children didn't ask to be here, and they definitely didn't ask to be put in that position, and they deserve some consideration as well.
Preach, Bruce Jones.
Well, I mean,
He's preaching today, ladies and gentlemen. And for those who have just tuned in, you're tuning into the LBS, the hottest, the biggest, the baddest talk show of the South. And I have Bruce Jones with me today, and we're talking about step parenting. And let me tell you something else. A lot of women, and I'm speaking about women now, they get twisted. Okay, they think that, oh, he asked about my kids.
Yeah.
Oh, come on, Bruce, really?
Yeah. Well,
Come on now.
men didn't learn a few little clues of what they
That's the game. That's the game.
but the proof is in the longevity.
Right.
You know, but sometimes you can see things early on.
Yes.
I mean, I'm a single dad, and I have a 23-year-old, so he's in college in Pittsburgh, so I don't have to deal with him as much in these relationships. But I have a 13-year-old.
Okay.
And I've dated people in the past where you see how they interact with your child, and you see how they respond to your child, and I mean, there's been a few relationships I chose not to pursue because I saw that it wasn't going to go well for my child.
Right.
And he's there. I mean, he's not going anywhere. But I've taught him to be respectful. I taught him to be mannerable. So I know he's not going to be the kind of kid that's going to provoke, you know, no female to, you know, dislike him or whatever.
Right.
So you just pick up on things. So you just have to make those decisions. And you make them early, then you don't have to deal with a lot of the chaos and the confusion and strife later on.
Well, Bruce, here's a question I want to ask you. When is it too early? I've seen cases where the woman is really into the guy, and she has, you know, the little boy already calling him daddy.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, that happens more often than not, Bruce, where they have the guy calling him dad. I mean, he hasn't put a ring on it, but, you know, she's got, because I think this is a desire that she has.
Exactly. Yeah, I can see that. I can see that. Well, I mean, listen, and I'm no authority on any of this. I just go based on what I've learned working at DYS, seeing the other kids, dealing with kids, and just, you know, even in my own experiences. But in the relationships that I know of, and the ones that tend to have a chance and things like that, you have your child to call the person that you're dating or whatever, typically, you know, Mr. such and such, Mr.
Right.
Mr. Jones,
and that's
or
what
Mr.
I do.
Bruce or whatever. This is Mr. Bruce, this is whatever, because you want to build that respect thing early on.
Absolutely.
Okay, now, if the relationship is going to go the distance, and then you guys, if there is some marriage, then depending on, you know, what everybody agrees upon, it might be agreed upon that, okay, I'm going to adopt you, or there may not be an adoption, but, you know, everybody might be agreed upon that I can call you dad. But it needs to be an agreed upon thing. It needs to be talked about with everyone, even the child, depending on the age of the child, of course. And so that everybody can be comfortable with everything. I think sometimes we get desperate, or we want and we want so bad to make a relationship work that we try to force things. And when we try to force our kids to be something or do something that they're not comfortable with, that in itself can cause problems for that kid, and eventually it's going to cause problems for their relationship.
Right. I remember when I was in Jackson, and And this guy, I'll go ahead and call his name, Charles Evers. You remember the civil rights leader, Medgar Evers?
Yeah, Medgar Evers, yeah.
It's his brother.
Oh, okay.
And I used to work for him down in Jackson. And, you know, he was just giving me a little one-on-one, you know, just some advice. And this is the one thing that he said. He said, if you're going to consider dating anyone, he says you need to date someone that's going to love you, love your children, and love your family.
Gotcha, yeah.
You know, and I think that, you know, with women, you know, and I'm just speaking now, you know, from experiences that I've seen for myself, I think a lot of women, we just want what we want because we're lonely.
Yeah.
We just want somebody. And so this is going to be your daddy. You know, this is, you know, and I think it takes a lot to be a dad. You know, I think it's a lot to hold a title of that magnitude.
Well, and you have to put your time in. I mean, you have to earn that position.
Yes.
That's just not something that's given, and you earn that by spending quality time with those children as well as with the person you're dating. And I think a lot of times we just think that things supposed to happen because of who we are as the adult and whatever. And we hadn't invested any time in building that relationship with those kids so that they would even want to consider you to be a dad or whatever.
Exactly.
So, you know, I one of the things that I see a lot when you talk about step parenting and blended relationship is that, and I see it a little bit too much than I care to admit, where the parent almost choose the partner over the child.
Bruce, I've seen that too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have seen that.
And can you imagine a child being rejected in a way where this person that comes into this picture has all of a sudden been elevated to a level where you're not as important as I am? Because kids internalize all that stuff.
Right.
And the emotional torment that child is going to, now the behavioral responses to that emotional torment, it's going to be it's going to be a major issue.
Yes.
And I think sometimes we as parents don't consider that.
No, we don't, Bruce. And I'll say this also. I've seen cases where, you know, there may be, with the blended family, the mom overcompensates for the children of this man's.
Okay.
She does more for this man's children than
Oh,
she does
wow.
for, and that is a big conflict.
Yeah, yeah. Well, kids, just keep in mind, kids, they're observant, they're watching, you know, they're internalizing it, they're developing their mindset on all this stuff. You don't think for a minute your kids are not being affected by your behavior in these blended relationships or these step parenting situations, because they are. And I just believe that it's very important that, you know, that you spend time together, that you communicate and you talk. You allow that child to express their feelings about the relationship and whatever. I mean, trust me, some things we may not want to hear.
Right.
But if we want our children to grow up to be healthy, emotionally, and balanced and stable, you know, it's up to us to create that foundation early so that can happen. And we definitely have to work a little bit extra harder in these blended situations, because you know, that's blend, that's two different people and dysfunctions coming together trying to blend into one, and you know, that's not an easy thing, but we do it, and we're doing it every day because that's just where we are in our society, so it can be done. I just think that we have to really take more time and more effort and more consideration towards the children when we're trying to build those type relationships.
For those who have just tuned in, you're tuning into the Lynette Brown Show. We have Bruce Jones, and he is the Director of Youth Services, and he's talking to us about blended families, step parenting, modern family, really. We're going to go into a quick commercial break, and when we come back, I want to address this particular topic. Is when the guy tries to step in and want to bond with the children, and the guy's being rejected. The stepdad. We'll be back right after this. Don't go anywhere.
years, Jimmy Smith Jewelers in Decatur has offered fine and distinctive jewelry to the Tennessee Valley. Jimmy Smith has a unique selection of fine jewelry in all categories. Full appraisal services are available, and they're members of the American Gem Society Laboratory. Diamonds. Jimmy Smith Jewelers knows diamonds. With diamonds imported directly from cutters in Antwerp, Belgium. Jimmy Smith Jewelers. Brilliant quality, brilliant selection, and brilliant service. Southland Plaza, Decatur.
Your grace and mercy brought me through. I'm living this moment because of you.
The Lynette Brown Show. This be the Lynette Brown Show.
She's always ready and on time.
The Lynette Brown Show.
When you got something that's on your mind.
The Lynette Brown Show.
Whatever you got going on, she knows the deal.
The Lynette Brown Show.
Well, we always keep it real.
Welcome back to the LBS, the hottest, the biggest, the baddest talk show of the South. I am the fiery diva, keeping their waves hot on your favorite station. We are interviewing Bruce Jones, and we're talking about blended families. And Bruce, what I wanted to talk with you about, what happens when there is a gentleman wanting to step up, stepdad wannabe, and he is being rejected by the children. And I've even heard of cases where the dad is a deadbeat, doesn't come around birthdays, Christmas, or no time for that matter.
Right.
But when he steps into the picture, stepdad is pushed aside. I mean, he doesn't even exist with the children's parents.
Right.
You know, with the children's grandparents,
Right.
excuse me. I've heard of cases like that too.
Wow. And trust me, there's so many different scenarios when it comes to this kind of stuff. You just never know, what to expect.
Right.
If you think it's going to be one way, end up being another. But, situations like that, I guess I think about, especially in a situation where the dad is really not involved, but the kids push the step parent away because they want a relationship with their biological dad. Well, listen, it is a natural thing for a kid to want a relationship with their biological dad. And if they think that for a minute that there's a possibility that they can have that relationship because that's what they want, and they think that, well, if mom doesn't date anybody, have anybody, then dad will come back, or this guy's going to get in the way, and mom and dad will never get back together. So they start to sabotage those relationships. So it's just different reasons why kids do that, and then sometimes the kids push that male. Well, let's say if it's a male situation
Or female, because you've got some women wanting to step up to be a stepmom.
Yeah. Okay.
That's another show.
Yeah,
that's another show. We're talking about dads right now. I'll get a female on for that one, Bruce.
Okay.
Okay.
But so you have the situation where the kids have that, especially if it's a male child, and they push the step that way. It's because that male child in his mind has been the man in that home.
We talked about that on the last show.
So it almost goes back into what we talked about, where you've given this kid this position in that family. Now you bring in a male in, and he's feeling threatened by this, and feeling that his position might be taken away. So he's gonna rebel against that, and he's gonna like, nah, this ain't gonna happen. You can't come up in here and take my place and take my position. And then sometimes male children are just more protective of their moms. And then for the female, sometimes it might be easier for a stepdad or a male to come in that situation, provided he's not a pervert and not going to fool around with the child in some way.
And that's something to really be cautious about.
Right, but because females, they want to attach to a male. They want to have a relationship with that father-like figure.
Exactly.
So it could be an easy transition for that. But at the same time, that mom still has to provide that nurturing and that for that female, so that that female can still feel accepted and wanted, and then she'll embrace it a little bit easier sometimes. But let me tell you, it can be, all of those situations can just be once again a recipe for disaster if there's no communication up front. If people are not talking about what, you almost have to set a goal when you come together as a blended situation. Because if you don't, and everybody has to be a part of that, because if you don't, if there's no communication, if people just come together and that nobody really understands and knows what, then there's too much confusion. And one thing I learned from one of my pastors was that I think Pastor Sawyer made this statement: without communication comes imagination. So when you let these kids' mind just run because you hadn't communicated with them and they don't know everything that's going on, then they're going to come up with all kinds of things that they think is going to happen or whatever. So I just think that you have to do a lot of communication, you have to do a lot of talking, and you have to prepare everybody for what's going to happen. And everybody talks about marital counseling. I don't know if it works or not. It can't hurt. But those kids needs to be a part of that as well.
They need to be a part of the session.
That's right. They're going to be in. They are part of the equation. So they should be a part of some of those sessions as well. So like I said, not an expert.
I know. We're just dialoguing, Bruce.
But I just think that if these relationships can work, but there has to be some kind of communication up front, and these kids have to feel secure in these relationships, and when the children start to rebel and reject this guy, I think it's very important that whether it's the mom or the dad, whatever situation, get with the child, talk to them, ask them what's going on. Well, why are they rejecting this person? And then at some point get them all together, the father or the mom, the stepmom or stepdad, and let's talk about this. Let's figure out what we can do to make sure that we can overcome some of this.
It's sad in a lot of ways. It really is. And I've heard, being in television, you hear a lot of stuff. I've even heard situations where, the teen boy couldn't get along with the stepdad, and the stepdad saying, "This is my house, get out." Okay? And so what is the mom supposed to do?
Right, that's a toughie. That is a real toughie. And
but it happens a lot.
It happens often, almost too much. And without knowing all the specifics, and and I know you just there are some real situations, but we're talking hypothetically here now. But unless you know everything that is going on, all the different dynamics that are involved in this, is really hard to determine. If
should the mother choose between her husband? Or should
because you also got to look at the age of the child. You got to look at a lot of those different factors. But once again, if you have a situation that has come to that point, what led up to it?
That's right.
What
cause and effect?
Yes. What was the things done either before or in the meantime, or that got it to this point? And I just think that we have to start communicating and talking and trying to figure this thing out early, because it can work. And because I've been a step parent. I've been a step parent twice actually. And each time I've had good relationship with the kids.
Wonderful.
Matter of fact, to the point where I still have. I'm not married to
their mother.
Because my first wife had a. Boy, Lord, I'm telling my business. Anyway.
That's okay. It's the LBS. I tell mine every day, every time I'm on the channel.
Well, my first wife, she had a daughter when we got married. And I had a good relationship with that daughter. And she, anyway, but years ago, she even said, "Well, you think y'all might get back together?" So evidently I did some right things with her. And then in my last marriage, there was 2 kids involved, and now they're adults, and I still have a relationship with both of them, more so with the boy, because he's he just likes to call, and I'll call and check on him. He's recently married with kids, and the daughter, she's a nurse, and she's doing well. And we definitely during special days we'll text or whatever. You know, every now and then we'll talk. But I just talk more to the boy, and because I respected them.
Okay.
You know, they saw me try to treat their mom with respect. And I communicated with them, but I also spent time with them.
With them, okay, that's the key.
With them,
because some people like, well, you know, I bought $100 pair of shoes for them. I bought an outfit for them.
No.
So that automatically gives me, you know, stepfather credentials, I guess you could say. But have you been to a ball game?
Yeah.
Have
Or
you been to a parent right? Have you been to a parent conference? You know, do you call them? Do you say, "Hey, how you doing?" Or you know, or something to that.
Anyway, I this is I mean, I don't think we talk about this enough.
No, we don't, and we're going to talk again.
And it's such a big deal in our society now, and I think that, you know, we need to find as much information if we're step parenting or whatever, as much as information we can to try to, you know, have a good understanding of this. Those of us who work in the field that I work in, you know, the counseling, social work, whatever, we see this, so, you know, we learn a lot from our work and our studies. So, but people who don't come in contact with the things we do, they're coming in just based on the likes of this person that they see, and they might not, and if they're not in a good church home where they talk about this, or have different groups or whatever, support groups or whatever, then they may not get this important information that I think everyone needs before they enter into these type of situations.
Exactly. And Bruce, we're going to have to close it.
Okay.
We're going to have to close out. Goodness, this has been so interesting. Bruce, I know you'll be back, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, Bruce is a partner of the show, ladies and gentlemen. And not only that, Bruce does a lot in the community. I mean, he knows his stuff when it comes to working with the youth, because I'm sure you hear about issues all the time.
All the time.
Step parenting.
You know, and I'm gonna end on this, but the ones that breaks my heart the most is when a child is disowned by the parent, because that parent, boyfriend, husband, or whatever, girlfriend, doesn't want the child around.
And the mother chooses.
And
the mother will choose that man.
I guess abandons the child with some other family member.
And she wonders why the child is so bitter.
So that she can be with that man. And here it is, this child is going around angry,
mad at the world,
hurting, and sad, and everything else. And we see the acting out and all the other issues, but the issue is, I was rejected by the person that I should have been loved. Balancing that.
Yes.
It's work. And if you don't want to work in these type relationships, don't enter into them.
Relationships are not for you.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning into the LBS, the hottest, the biggest, the baddest talk show of the South. If I have time, I'm going to come back and close it out. If not, this is it. This is my time. But I appreciate you tuning in to the LBS, the hottest, the biggest, the baddest.
Hey folks, welcome to Eddie Pruitt Ford right here in Hartsville, Alabama, where we've got a great sale going on that you don't want to miss. Every new car and truck, every used car and truck drastically reduced, including this state-of-the-art new 13 model Fusion, totally redesigned, cheapest price you can find anywhere in Alabama, $21,975, and that's loaded, not stripped, sport wheels, all power equipment. If you want a great buy, new, used, program cars, whatever your need, Eddie Pruitt Ford right here in Hartsville.
For 32 years, Jimmy Smith Jewelers in Decatur has offered fine and distinctive jewelry to the Tennessee Valley. Jimmy Smith has a unique selection of fine jewelry in all categories. Full appraisal services are available, and they're members of the American Gem Society Laboratory. Diamonds. Jimmy Smith Jewelers knows diamonds. With diamonds imported directly from cutters in Antwerp, Belgium. Jimmy Smith Jewelers. Brilliant quality, brilliant selection, and brilliant service. Southland Plaza, Decatur.